This way.
Long time since I've been inside one of these places. They don't build them like they used to.
Is that right?
Empty your pockets, please. What's this?
Pills. Indigestion pills.
Let me see about that. Bodies from the raid?
Yeah, these 4 here and the geese have been put on the sheet.
What's all this about?
No comment. I want to talk to my lawyer.
Doesn't look as if it's been forced. Mind you, they can go through these things like a dose of salts. What you need is a 5-lever deadlock on it.
Yeah.
I'll leave you a leaflet on it before I go.
Ray Goller was a top 10 armed blagger in his day. Did 7 years for it.
Yeah. And he was pulled on the premises of a receiver of stolen property.
Yeah, and his pockets full of women's underwear that had been slashed with a razor.
He's got no form for burglary.
No. He certainly hasn't got any form for knicker snatching.
Yeah, well, he can go a bit funny doing a 7-stretch too.
No, not Ray Goller.
You talk about him as though you were old pals.
No, our paths crossed, that's all.
When I looked round, everything seemed to be all right. I mean, like you said, the TV and the video were there, no damage. And then I thought, what if it's not that? What if it's me?
Go on.
Well, then I noticed that this drawer was open. And I thought I must have left it that way this morning when I was dressing. But when I looked in, everything was gone.
What clothes was it?
Yeah, underclothes. That's what's missing. That is all that's missing from the whole flat. I mean, I know these guys grab stuff off washing lines and it's pathetic and a bit of a joke, but when they get into your own home...
Nobody's treating this as a joke, Karen.
Goller has got a smart house at the posh end of the ground, plus business premises, and since he did his time, he's established himself as an antique dealer.
Oh, yeah. Well, we all know that covers a multitude of sins.
As far as we're concerned, he's been a model citizen.
Hello, Mr. Sanderson. Hope you haven't been inconvenienced.
It's my client who's been inconvenienced. Quite unnecessarily, as far as I can see.
Well, we're here now, Barry, so let's get it over with.
Been a long time, Ray.
Another life, Ted.
Yeah, well, if you'd all like to take a seat, gentlemen. Plenty to talk about.
We got your common or garden knicker snatchers like a dog has fleas. It's not like premeditated crime. They spot a clothesline and they're at it. I think they're ill. Or they've got shares in Marks and Spencer's.
I don't want this one laughed off. I'm not having a creep pulling this sort of stroke on our ground.
Well, this bloke could be even weirder than you think. A raid on a fence operating out of a junk shop went down today. One of the bodies was pulled for suspected dishonest handling. He's a customer in the shop. Could be clean as a whistle. Turns out his pocket's to Maitland and he's carrying women's underwear. But there's a twist, and that's the word for it. Each item had been slashed with a very sharp blade. Open razor or a Stanley knife.
Ooh.
What were you doing at the shop?
You don't have to answer that.
I want to get this over with, Barry. I've got nothing to hide. I was there on business.
What business do you have in a junk shop?
Occasionally an interesting piece turns up in a place like that. Perhaps from a house clearance. Something nobody's recognised.
But surely when you turn up and show an interest, the geezer's going to know he's got something good.
I'm not looking for opportunities to rip people off, Mr. Burnside. If I buy something for £15 and sell it for 300, I've done very well for myself. Once. I'll never be able to do serious business with that vendor again. If I happen to make a profit, I like to share it with the vendor. Makes better sense in the long term.
You never shared your profits with the punters you pointed a sawn off, eh? Amazing how people mellow over the passing of the years.
Eventually you realise you don't always have to go for a win, Mr. Burnside. It's called principled negotiation. I'll lend you the book.
So what took your fancy in the shop?
I was just looking. As it happened, there was nothing to interest me.
There were stolen goods on the premises.
Is there anything to connect those goods to my client? If so, you haven't mentioned it.
I never bought anything there. I never sold anything there. I'm not interested in stolen goods. Blimey, Ted, you remember. When I was at it all those years back, I never nicked things. I blagged cash.
In my view, Mr. Goller's gone out of his way to respond to what's been put to him. Unless there are matters of substance to discuss, you should release him.
Well, for a start, there's the matter of the pills.
Mr. Goller had some substances on him in pill form when he was admitted to custody.
Look, I've had a dicky gut ever since I was inside. You know what the trustees do to the food in there. My doctor prescribed that stuff, he'll tell you.
Then we come to the items of women's underclothing that were found in your possession at the time of your arrest. Can you tell us how you came by those?
You can put questions to my client about a crime or evidence of a crime. What crime are we talking about here?
Theft?
Do you have any reason to believe that those items were stolen? Because if not, Mr. Burnside, you're well out of line and you know it.
I think it's time we took a break, don't you?
Interview suspended.
Ted?
Yeah?
I'm sure you wouldn't mind escorting Ray back to his cell. Let's see if we can find you a cup of tea, shall we, Mr. Sanderson?
For the love of God, Ted, get me out of here.
What's your problem, Ray?
Personal business. God's honour.
You wouldn't lie to me, would you?
Well, of course I'd lie to you. If it was a bit of work, but it's not.
But it's serious.
Serious for me. And mine. But it's not a police matter.
We'll be the judge of that.
No. Ted, when we did business together, way back, was I straight with you then?
I had no complaints.
Then please believe me this time. There's just something I need to handle personally. It won't make waves for you or your governor.
I'd like you to identify these items as your property.
Yeah, this is... What's happened to them? Who did this?
Is it your property?
Yep, sure, but they weren't.
And were the items in this condition when you last saw them?
No, of course not. Who did this? Why would someone want to do this to me?
Look, it's all right. We've got someone in custody. You're quite safe now.
I don't understand this.
But I have to ask if the man was known to you.
No, nobody I know would do this.
I'm sorry, but I have to ask. The man's name is Raymond Goller.
No, you've got it wrong. Don't be stupid.
I'm sorry, but that's who it is.
But I'm telling you, it can't be. It can't be Raymond Goller. There's no way it can be Raymond Goller.
These things were found in his pockets, Karen. I'm sorry if it's a shock, if he's a...
No, you stupid bitch! It can't be. It can't be. Raymond Goller's my dad.
So Goller is running around with his daughter's lacerated lingerie in his pocket? This is beginning to sound like the women's page of The Guardian.
Well, according to Karen, Goller's marriage broke up while he was still inside. She was only very little when her mother remarried and she took on the stepfather's name. But she was still curious to know who her real father was. They got back in touch in the last few years.
In touch? Sounds like it. We're going to have to add incest to injury on this case.
Well, there isn't a case as far as Karen's concerned. She's withdrawn the burglary complaint. Says it was all a big misunderstanding.
She's scared of him.
Well, she's scared. But scared for him, not of him. So what do we do?
Nothing. No complaint, no further action. We're the old Bill, not family therapists, thank God.
363 from Sierra Oscar receiving.
Go ahead, Cal.
The vehicle in your criminal damage report PNC check gives the owner as a Raymond David Goller. Address The Grange, Carrisbrook Drive, Sun Hill.
Right, got that. We'll go round there, have a word with him.
You'll have to shout. Raymond David Goller's here in custody.
I've just heard from the CAD room. Goller's car's been given the acid treatment.
So what do you put that down to? The daughter's revenge for her desecrated drawers?
What's going down here isn't just family business. Goller's frightened. And whatever he may be, he's not short a bottle.
Well, I've got him for a few hours yet. The news about his motor should wind him up nicely.
Frank, I've got to say this. There's a time for the stick and a time for the carrot. Now, Goller's got his pride. He's sending out signals for help. If we just give him 2 fingers, he'll turn. He'll really freeze up on us.
So what's the carrot supposed to be?
Let him walk now. He understands favours. I'll get it out of him.
I'm beginning to wonder about this old pals act. Just how good a mate of Goller's were you, Ted, all those years ago?
I may have been a bit swift in my time, Frank, but I've never been known for being bent.
No, all right. But how come you and Goller have got this understanding?
A weight snatch goes down. One of the bandits turns out to be a bit of a psycho. He half kills a security guard with a pick handle. After the raid, he beats the stuffing out of his girlfriend and threatens to do the same to his mates.
This is Ray Goller's firm we're talking about.
Sure. Now, Ray is under pressure to put this guy in order. One way is to kill him. Now, rather than do that, Ray gets into negotiations with a young DC who badly needs a good collar. Matters are handled with discretion and efficiency on both sides. The DC puts a dangerous nutter in the bin. Within strict limits, there's a basis for trust and understanding.
And you reckon you can crack Goller your way?
Like I say, I'll give it a try.
Well, I respect your judgment, Ted. Within strict limits. You can try.
Well?
It's none of your business, Ted. All right, you better come in.
Two cars trashed in one day.
This one's the girlfriend. Denise? Ted, this is Denise, my partner.
Hello, Denise. Nice.
You see what they've done? You see what they've done to my car?
Yeah, that's all right. Calm down, love. Yeah, we'll work something out. Can you get Ted a drink? Scotch, Ted?
Yeah, fine. Yeah. So, somebody's putting the frighteners on, is that right?
You want ice?
No, thanks. So what's the story?
Why don't you leave that, love? Right? Just go and stuff some olives or something.
It'll stain the pigging floor.
Leave it, Denise. Sit down, Ted. Don't get the wrong idea about Denise. She's got A-levels and everything.
Looks like normal domestic bliss to me.
Well, all this. It's either mortgaged or it's security for bank loans. The money's all gone into working capital for the business. All and a little bit more. I had the opportunity to do a deal overseas, buying gold. Quite legitimately, let's get that straight from the start.
Sure. Buying it's legitimate. But then the gold is smuggled into Britain without the customs and excise people knowing. And then it's sold at market price, only without you paying VAT. 17.5% extra profit, which is a long way from being legitimate.
I'm not talking about what would have happened, Ted. I'm talking about what did. I couldn't lay my hand to the capital, and there's a limit to the bank's sympathy for a small-scale entrepreneur. Well, I had to go for short-term finance from people who were into taking risks.
Yeah. Loan sharks.
There's a niche in the marketplace, Ted. Somebody's bound to fill it, and there shouldn't have been a problem.
But?
I was ripped off by the agents overseas. No cash, no gold. And my creditors were expecting their money at noon today. There isn't any.
So what are they threatening?
Well, they weren't threatening a thing. Nobody said a word. Well, they didn't need to, did they? I wanted to be here so that I could say to them, look, take it out on me, not, you know. Have you got a fag?
I thought you'd given up.
It's not a bad time to start again, is it?
We can stop him.
Oh, come on, Ted. I've got to live in this world. It's a debt. I owe it. What am I going to be when it gets around that I call the law in?
Whatever you'd be, it'd be better than being GBH'd and having your house trashed.
Oh, don't try and kid me, Ted. I'm not Sam and Rushdie. I mean, how much protection am I going to be worth in the long term? And it's not just me and Denise.
Or your daughter.
I got a phone call this afternoon. Man says, how's your kid doing today? Hangs up. I was round there like greased lightning. Karen hadn't got back from work, thank God. Someone had taken her things out of her drawer, laid them out on the bed, arranged as if someone was in them, you know, and then cut them up. Well, you saw. I couldn't let Karen see that. So I stuffed them in my pocket and went straight round to the shop.
Why there?
The guys running the fencing operation, they're the front-enders for the blokes I got the money off. I was hoping to get the debt rolled over.
But they wouldn't.
No way.
Just go around there and talk to the girl. Stay there till we tell you.
If we're giving her protection...
It's
then
not so much giving her protection. It's more establishing a presence.
Is this official or unofficial?
Let's just call it informal.
Gov, I do like to know exactly where I stand when I'm dealing with people.
Well, then you picked a funny sort of career, didn't you? Look, if you don't want in, I am not ordering you. Ted is asking for my help. I'm asking for yours. It would be appreciated.
All right, I'm in.
Good girl.
Stuffed olive.
No, thanks, love. I think I'll give that a miss.
No, nothing. How long will it take you to raise the cash?
Better ducking and diving, 3 months.
I think they'll reconsider rolling the debt over once we've spoken to them.
They're not stupid, are they?
And you're supposed to be the police. You're all the same. You're like 8-year-old boys fronting each other up on the playground.
Leave it, Denise.
You all think you're in the last reel of a John Ford movie, don't you? Cowboys is the word.
She's got A-levels.
Oh, right.
Dad said to go and stay with Mum for a bit. Oh, I can't do that. I've got my job here and... I don't want to leave town if he's in trouble.
You don't have to worry, Karen. I'm here to keep you company. Stop you fretting.
What about Dad, though?
He's with 2 officers who are highly skilled in dealing with aggravation. They have to be. They cause enough of it.
Motor. There's muscle in the car.
These two don't look too heavy. More like a couple of accountants.
Now, that really is frightening.
I didn't know you'd have company, right?
Puts us in a bit of an uncomfortable position in regards to talking business.
It's just a couple of friends dropped in, having for a drink.
Purely social.
You carry on. Don't mind us.
Oh, Des Wickford, Harry Scott, Frank Burnside, Ted Roach. You'll have a drink?
Scotch, right. As it comes.
Got a sherry?
Yeah.
You were business associates of Rise, then? Antiques and objets d'art?
Nothing as refined as that, I'm afraid.
We're not hairdressers either.
Well then?
It's a funny thing. I've seen so many pleasant social occasions suddenly turn moody at this point.
I know. We're damned if we do show out, and we're damned if we don't. But I don't think we should mislead these lads.
Oh, no. Ted and Frank, they're the old bill. Never been known to refuse a drink.
Cheers, Ray.
There hasn't been any misunderstanding here, has there? I mean, I hope you haven't been brought out on false pretenses.
See what I mean?
Never fails.
People think we're always on duty. Prying, snooping, ready to pounce. Can't even have a drink with an old mate without some slag getting anxious.
We're not anxious.
Was I looking at you?
He was talking about slags.
So you're old mates of Ray's?
Like that.
All right. Can we get down to the business in hand?
Sure. We'll go through into my study. Take your drinks. Excuse us, gents.
Oi, Wicked!
The name is Wickford.
There's an ugly-looking scrote out here molesting the gnomes. Tell him to stop.
I suppose I couldn't just give him a ring, just to see.
I don't think that's a good idea. What about another coffee?
Artillery from Burnside, receiving.
Go ahead, Gov.
All clear. You can call it a day.
Understood. It's sorted. Your dad's going to be all right.
Really? Oh. Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Those guys must be brilliant.
They have their good days.
And they believed you when you said you hadn't squealed to us officially.
Yeah, they think I'm bunging the pair of you.
We must look cheap.
A misleading impression.
Yeah, well, as you know, chaps. Right at the present moment, I'm Barasic. But if you bear with me...
We didn't hear that, Ray. You haven't got the point, have you?
You owe us, Ray. But we don't want reddies in a brown envelope.
Well, then?
We want information.
Oh, now, Ted will tell you, Mr. Burnside, I've never been a snout. That's well known.
Which is why you'll make a very good one, Ray.
Oh, come on, Ted. That's just not what I am.
I'm mystified, Ray. I mean, for a man who goes in for principled negotiation, surely you must understand favours.
Oh, Ray understands really, Frank. He knows what he owes. He's just getting used to the idea.
Of course he is.